What a dramatic rally we had over the weekend. A rally of changing conditions, intense fights, and one of ups and downs throughout the whole weekend. But the one thing that stayed constant throughout the whole thing was Kalle Wins' amazing pace. It's a win that's been coming for a few years now, and he's finally gone and done it. Becoming the first Finn in 8 years to finally win in Rally Finland. It's been a long drought of Finnish winners since Esa-Pekka Lappi stood atop the podium in 2017. And after a mixed start to the season, Kalle has finally gotten his dream win in Finland. With only a puncture trying to slow him down, Kalle would complete the rally with the fastest average speed in the history of rally, hitting a whopping 129.95 kilometers an hour average. And he wouldn't slow down at all, giving all the fans a nail-biting watch all the way to the end and bringing home the maximum amount of points and leading a Toyota top 5, and skyrocketing Kalle up through the points. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of this form from Kalle from now on, although he continued to talk about how uncomfortable he was in the car, even while he was winning. But he feels this uncomfortable in the car and he was still committing this much and absolutely dominating the event. It's probably easy to see that he's on the right path, at least heading forward into more gravel rallies. Hyundai, on the other hand, had a strong start, but were plagued with a lot of issues. With Oit's win in Estonia, I believe he was widely the favourite to win in Finland, but opening the road into wetter conditions after rain on the first day, Oit would lose control of the car and crash into a tree line, setting off a series of troubling events, subsequently dropping down the times, following a big chunk of damage to the engine and the aero. His weekend would go from bad to worse after he was involved in an incident in which he hit an official while driving away, earning him a 5-minute time penalty, leaving a bad mark on his event. In the meantime, Thierry and Adrian would pick up the slack, but not before running into their own problems, running in second and third for most of the Friday and Saturday, keeping up the pressure and keeping track of Kalle, all the way up until SS13, when both crews would hit a rock and get a front right puncture, dropping them both out of podium positions and allowing Toyota to profit. It was a mixed bag for the Hyundai crew. Oit generally didn't have a great weekend, and it's not really something we see very often from him. But for the other pair, they were doing so well until their accidents. But these accidents are the ones that have devastating consequences. As Thierry has stated, it could most likely be the end of his championship bid, but more on that a little later. Luckily for Thierry, he'd finished with a 6th place position, but the same couldn't really be said for Adrian, who unfortunately got a puncture on the final stage and had to retire. It was a real big shame for Thierry and Adrian overall. They performed greatly before their punctures. Mostly seemed out of their control, but it would have been greater to see them fight on even more, possibly taking the fight to Kalle a bit more, and really sticking in the mix. With Hyundai's puncture problems allowing Toyota to bring home a top 5 finish, with Kalle leading and Taka Katsuda following closely behind, and finally back on the podium with a P2 finish. Throughout the whole weekend he had such a strong rally, and putting in some really solid performances, exactly what he needed, being in the mix to fight for P1, P2, P3, before the Hyundais fell out of contention. Followed swiftly by a strong Ogier, who fought his way back to the podium after a strong Saturday, and Elvin, who also climbed his way back to 4th, getting a decent points hauls for both of their championship fights. Sami Paari would really press on the challenge this weekend. Sami would have a really strong Friday, but a bit of a mixed bag on Saturday, leading ahead of Ogier and Elvin at the start. Yet both of their pace were a little bit too strong on the Saturday. Still a really strong performance from the young Finn, sealing out that top 5 for Toyota, with a few stage wins to back it up. Heading down to MSport, Martins was clearly the strongest out of the 3 crews, having another strong fast rally, like he did in Estonia, up until the wet weather came out on Saturday. As most of the MSport crews seemed to have some fogging issues, it hit Martins the worst, and despite Renault's best efforts, the crews needed to pull over in order to fix the problem, dropping positions past down both of his teammates, before climbing his way back up past Gregoire on the final stage. A strong finish for Martin's part-time calendar this year, certainly better than his earlier entrances in the season, but still not as great as his debut running last year. But at the moment, this is the last time we'll see Sesks. Hopefully we'll see him back soon. Fingers crossed for Saudi Arabia at the end of the year. I believe there was some talk about it being a possibility, but never confirmed at the moment. Josh McElleen would have a stronger rally, sticking out on his stronger foot since Estonia, not putting much wrong, and sticking very close to Martin's ahead before Martin's issues on Saturday, allowing him to capitalise on another position. Gregoire, on the other hand, had another tough time in Finland. Fair amount of mistakes, a few spins and overshoots being the real standouts of his event, and really not having the pace to fight with his teammates. It just seemed like another poor weekend for Gregoire, and he'd really need to step up and fight, because this year he's really been outclassed by his new teammates. But what does this mean for the championship? Well, we now have a very tight four-way fight for the championship. With Elvin reclaiming the lead on 176 points, he is now followed closely behind by Kalles, with only a 3-point deficit on him. And not even too far behind that, on 163 points each, is Oitanek and Sebastian Ogier, who are also keen on taking the championship fight, with Sebastian looking more likely to stick in the fight after he announced his intentions to participate in the upcoming Rally del Paraguay. It's seeming more likely to be a fuller season for Seb again, searching for his 9th World Championship. Now Thierry is still in the fight, he's still in the mix mathematically, but now it's looking a lot more dire. On 125 points, he's going to need some pretty good luck on his side and probably some pretty poor luck on the leading four's side. But with 5 more rallies to go, things can still change. Hope you enjoyed the rally as much as I did. It was a great fun to watch. A win really well deserved and long time coming. If you want to hear more, I've just posted a video about the whole history of the event over on my main channel. So go check that out, like and subscribe there, and do that here as well, and comment anything I missed. Until then, see you next time.